What a horrible afternoon it was yesterday hearing what was unfolding over in Las Vegas. 10:08 p.m. local time in Las Vegas. Gunshots rang out for 10 to 15 minutes. We know that 58 people are dead, more than 500 wounded. This is the deadliest mass shooting in US history. The shooter has been identified as 64-year-old Stephen Paddock, but we can't imagine what it was like being over there at the time. And we're now crossing to Sarah Sleater, an Australian who was there at the front of the stage at this country music festival as the shots rang out. Are you there, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm here.
Now, Sarah, we know you're currently at Las Vegas Airport wanting to get home, and we can imagine desperately wanting to get home. Can you talk us through what unfolded as you were standing there at the stage watching this act?
Yeah, no, we were watching Jason Aldean. It was probably halfway through his set. He was the last thing of the evening, and I was up against the stage. I had one lady standing in front of me, and then the fence, and then the stage. And all of a sudden, we heard some really odd popping sound. Like it sounded like popping. We didn't know if it was part of his act or whatever. He continued to sing for about 15 more seconds. And then he had a worried look on his face, and he took off. And then the lady in front of me grabbed her side and said, "Oh my God, I've been shot." And she released her hand, and blood went everywhere. And me and my girlfriends, I had me plus four others, we just dropped to the ground. Then the shooting noise stopped. So we got up, we went to try and run, and then it started again. So we dropped to the ground, we climbed on top of each other, and we just started praying. That time, it felt like the shooting noise just went forever. Then there was a young guy. He stood up after it stopped again. He was like, "There's an exit to the left. If you guys can get up and run now. You'll be able to get out." So we got up and ran. As we were going through this exit, it was more like an alleyway. The shooting started again, so we climbed over a little fence and we went and hopped under a semi-trailer and just sat there for probably 10 minutes. We could still hear the gun noises going off, and we just didn't feel safe at all because we were still really close to the area. So we found a security guy. He was kind of in the middle of the parking lot, and he just yelled out. He said, "If you can run as far left as possible, there's private plane hangars you guys can go and hide amongst." So we just ran, just praying, because at this stage we didn't know if the shooter was active, like within the concert, or where it was actually coming from. And then we just went and hid amongst the private plane hangars. There was probably 25 of us in this little alleyway, and three gentlemen stood at the entrance of it just to kind of keep an eye on what was going on and try to keep us all calm and safe and whatever as best as they could. And then from there, it was probably half an hour we sat there, and the police showed up with a truck. The truck started pulling down, and they told us to jump in the back of the truck so they could get us as far away from the strip as possible. So we jumped in the actual, like the tray area of the truck, like a bunch of us, and they just drove us out of the town as far as they could.